is a quick guide is what I like to call it, to kind of guide you through that process of presenting or leading a presentation. And we have to open with a question. So opening your presentation with a question, just like at the top of the session, after introductions, I asked you, when it comes to virtual presence, what comes to mind for you? Because I want to know your thoughts. I want to go ahead and set this precedent at the top of the session that I want to hear from you throughout this presentation or throughout our time together. It's not just me, but I want it to be a collaborative space. Secondly, I have engage, don't present. I mentioned earlier about the gentleman that I coached who was a sales executive that felt that when he got into the virtual space, that he didn't feel that he could be as personable or that he could connect with his audience. And I got this same similar feedback, I should say, from a young lady that I coached who had so much personality. You know, spending 5 minutes with her, automatically you're bought into everything that she's saying because she lights up this room with just her natural presence. And she says to me, "But Jay, I want you to see me present." And I said, "Okay, I'll sit and I'll look and see how you present." She went from beaming with personality, just being herself, just getting everyone comfortable and ready to, go with the flow of the meeting. As soon as the title presentation came on, she went from "Good morning, everyone" to "Good morning, everyone. I would like to invite you to the meeting. Here are the agenda notes first." And I said, "Oh my goodness." Her words were, I turned into a robot. And I realized one of the entry points for coaching with this particular client is I said, I want you to think about, you're so personable, you're so easy to get along with and start conversation. I want you to think less about presenting and more about engaging. You know your content, you know what you're here to talk about. So I want you to just focus on getting your crowd, getting your audience involved in your presentation. And the best way to do that, and where we saw results with her, was to think about engaging, not presenting, which moved us on to don't read the slides. And this is something that, especially in the virtual space, we feel compelled to, well, that's all they see on the screen, so let me fill up the slide. I would encourage you to not to do that, to use those reference and those bullet points for you to just lightly touch, but then use your presence to fill in the gaps. And that's where you're going to get the buy-in from your audience. Next, we have use you and your. And I feel that the last 2 points kind of work hand in hand, because the last one says empathize, what's in it for them. So when you're using you or your, it makes the content relevant. You're able to put the audience in the thread of the content that you're talking about. So I could have just, talked about these different things and here are my tips, but I want to relate to you to say, hey, I was right there with you at the top of 2020 trying to figure it out. So think about when you first set up that moment and what it looked like for you. You're able to bring your audience in and put them into that space and bring them along for the ride. And you're gonna get that buy-in and that attention span increase throughout your entire presentation. Which leads me to the last one again, which is what's in it for them. When people come to your live sessions or to your meetings, you want to make sure that they're going to get something valuable and something that, that's relevant specifically to them. What increases that, ability or the opportunity for people to kind of zone out and kind of stop listening is when they feel that it no longer applies to you, applies to them. So you want to be cognizant about how can I include them and hit those points that are most relevant to my audience.